I've thought of about 100 different ways to explain what makes RimWorld so addicting, but I can't seem to land on one that doesn't come off as me rambling. The issue is that no elevator pitch seems to do this game justice to me, and it's not that it's a difficult game to talk about, it's actually the opposite. I start talking about it, and I just don't want to stop. I talk until someone looks at me like I'm a salesman and my family won't eat unless I get them to buy this game, which I guess I should pause for a second and say I'm not. I paid for RimWorld out of my own pocket, and not long after that, I paid for all of its expansions as well. Well, that's not quite true. Actually, the expansions came out of my wife's pocket, but I couldn't wait until payday, so I pulled the trigger and I asked for forgiveness later. We've all been there, so don't judge me. Anyway, back to my point, and it's just that there is so much to RimWorld. Too much, really. I mean, reviews are what I generally do, and you will notice that this isn't a traditional review. Initially, when I decided to play RimWorld, that was the plan, but I realized after weeks of playing this game that I still don't feel like I've seen all it has to offer. So I've decided to do more of a review / explanation / storytelling video. But there I go rambling again. I'm Zach with Amateur Game Review. Let's roll that intro and talk about RimWorld. RimWorld is a sci-fi colony sim driven by an intelligent AI storyteller. Yes, I just read the Steam description to you. If you expected something more, maybe you should have found a channel called Professional Game Review instead of this one. In all seriousness though, RimWorld is a game where you manage the actions, decisions, and relationships of a group of survivors, with the goal of eventually escaping the planet you are stuck on. Games can start a few different ways, but they all have the same basics. You start with very little. You need to build shelter, find food, protect each other, research, develop, or trade for whatever you need to help your colony succeed. All while dealing with random events that get thrown at you by the computer, or the AI storyteller as the game likes to refer to it. I want to slightly stop here and say this is where the magic happens, and it is. The events are really what make RimWorld special, but I also want to make it clear that there is so much more to why the game is amazing, so don't dwell on just those. Anyway, the so-called storytelling is actually pretty simple in design. Based off of how your playthrough is going, the computer will inject random events into the mix to create a more interesting narrative. These can be anything from something small and helpful like sending a group of traders through your colony, to something devastating like a volcanic winter that lasts years, killing all of your crops and making it almost impossible to survive. Also, before I get too deep, I want to say it's not all completely random. There are 6 difficulty settings, and there are 3 different storytellers to choose from who range from predictable to complete and utter chaos. I have played a ton lately, and a lot of the events I see are happening to me for the first time. I'll give examples soon, but I want to keep explaining the game before I sidetrack myself again. Anyway, the interesting narrative wouldn't matter if the actual gameplay wasn't any good, and like I said, it's not just one thing that makes RimWorld special. The colony building aspect is amazing, deep, and fun. I didn't think I liked building and designing, but here I am telling the world that I do. But again, that's nothing. The whole management aspect is phenomenal. Budgeting time management, people's personalities, who does what job based off of how good they are at it, and whether or not they like to do it is just all a blast. And to me, it's all brought together based off of the characters in the game. They are all randomly generated with skills, traits, likes, dislikes, good, and especially bad. I'm not sure if they are 100% random, but it sure seems like it. I've had everything from a woman who is good at a lot of stuff but is an asshole, to a dude who is pretty much useless and is only happy if something around him is on fire. You think the Telltale series makes some good characters? You just wait until a group of raiders attack you. You kill all of them except one that you end up taking hostage. Eventually, you convert that raider named Skizzer to join you, and he turns out to be pretty awesome. He's great with animals and enjoys working with them, so you put him in charge of handling, and over time he tames many rhinos, wolves, and bears that join your colony and make you stronger. The first animal he ever tamed, though, was a cougar who I named Kevin. Kevin and Skizzer became inseparable and eventually bonded. All is well in the world until after a few years that stupid-ass storyteller sends a group of man-hunting lizards into your colony. I take them out pretty quickly and efficiently, but they managed to bite Kevin and I didn't notice. And unfortunately, he succumbed to his injuries before I could provide medical treatment. Now, Skizzer was obviously devastated, and honestly so was I. We buried Kevin and had a service, and I thought we were all going to heal together. That is, until Skizzer's depression made him have a mental break, and he went on a murderous rampage. After snapping out of it and realizing he had killed his wife, he was even sadder, but by this point it's too late. Now all of the justice-seeking members of my colony wanted him to be executed for his crimes. Now do you see why it's called a story generator? The game didn't tell that story. All it did was send me Skizzer and send me a cougar and send man-hunting lizards after me later. But it gives you the opportunity to create your own stories with the random characters and events it provides. How you react to all of it determines not only your success, but your enjoyment. And those two things aren't attached to each other. You can fail and still have fun in this game. The loading screen one time said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that if all of your characters get wiped out, it's not a failure, it's just a tragic story. And that stuck with me, especially now since most of my favorite moments in this game have stemmed from failure. I have lost a ton of made-up pawns to the most random things you can think of, all in the name of survival. And when I say random, I mean random. It is a science fiction game after all, so some of the event possibilities are things I couldn't have even imagined, but you will just have to experience some of them for yourself, as I don't want to spoil a lot of things. So, what is it like as a new player? Well, the best way to explain it is by saying that the Steam description says the goal of RimWorld is to get a spaceship and leave the planet. And that is a quest that stays active in your quest log throughout the entirety of your playthroughs. But I seriously have never even come close to even thinking about finding a spaceship. I'm too busy planning raids, building meat freezers, making a building where my colonists who practice the religion of getting high can openly smoke and pray to their god. There's always something going on in the game that feels more important than trying to quote-unquote win. As a new player, you will be in awe of the sheer amount of things to do. RimWorld can absolutely suck you in. If you don't believe me, go look at the average playtime from the users on Steam. It's insane. If I had to say one thing that is an issue though, especially for new players, it's definitely how complicated the game is. But, full disclosure, it's not really an issue. It's a byproduct of how deep the game is. You will feel a bit overwhelmed at first, or at least I did, but if you stick with it, you will be rewarded. And the game does try to help with this. You will notice that in a lot of the gameplay that you're seeing, there's a teaching journal in the top corner. That's a feature I love because 20 hours into this colony, I'm unlocking technology and gameplay devices that I have no idea how work, and it still helps me by popping an alert that will explain the mechanics and some of the possibilities. What's funny is the colony I play the most, and the one you're seeing, is the first game I ever started. I played every day for a couple of weeks with just the base game, with the sole intention being to review RimWorld, just to break down and buy the expansions, making it even deeper and more complicated. Take away the expansions, and it's still a game you can play for years, and that's no joke. Add to that the ability to enable mods, and you will see why some people say this game is perfect. I really want to continue rambling about how much I've enjoyed this game, or just tell you about some of the things that have happened in my playthroughs, but I think it's best if I just wrapped up here and let you guys experience it for yourself. Instead, if you have played the game, I invite you to share some of your favorite experiences in the comments down below. I would love to see what shenanigans other people have gotten up to. As always, if you enjoyed this video, then you should hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps me by letting YouTube know that this community is something people want to be a part of. That does it for me though. I would love to say that I'm off to work on my next video idea, but I'm not. I'm going to go play some more RimWorld.